Alright, we're going to be talking about the Dragon on Dungeons & Dragons Premium LE. For visuals, I have the Dragon bot test running right now, but let's talk about a little bit of background with this mech. So mostly on early production of the Stern Dungeons & Dragons LE, there was an issue that was noticed, and it didn't show up in testing, but it showed up in production with the way they routed the wiring. So what happened was you could see the Dragon moves a lot, and therefore a lot of wires are moving underneath. And when they put it into production, they cable tied it too tight, and there wasn't enough slack for those wires to move like they needed to. And they would sometimes break or pull the connector loose from the node board. And if you pull a connector loose or break a wire on a stepper motor while the voltage is enabled, it can cause damage to the node board for the Dragon. So for some people it damaged the node board, and then the Dragon didn't work at all. I witnessed this in person, where there was a hot smell, the Dragon stopped working, and his head just kind of sagged and was just hanging in the low position. Thankfully, Stern came out with a fix. We've had good luck with it. This is a later production premium, and we've had no issues with it. And then I've probably installed the fix kit on like 5 different games, and it worked. So the fix is they send you a new stepper motor that has kind of a longer leash on it with the wiring, and then they give you very specific instructions on how to route the wiring and how to cable tie it. So it's super important that you do exactly what they say. They even say to put a Phillips screwdriver between the cable tie and the wiring to give it enough slack so that it can move. So that basically prevents it from breaking wires and pulling things loose. They also have introduced multiple software fixes to kind of help. And so make sure your game is fully up to date on code. So this customer has recently installed the fix kit and the node board, but his game is showing an error with the up and down motion, and then it's also having an issue after multi-ball is played. It says please wait, which I think has to do with the way it's needing to reload the balls after multi-ball, and it's not seeing them where they need to go. Another important piece of information I read online is that if the Dragon is not reloading properly, the game can actually decide to disable the Dragon. So that could be important if you're having a reload issue that might be affecting the movement of your Dragon too. So let's thoroughly look at everything. Go ahead and check the menu and see if there's any tech alerts. This could give us a great clue of what the culprit is for some of these symptoms. So open the coin door, use the black button to enter the menu. I actually have 2 tech alerts right now because I was just testing the game without flipping the flippers. And anytime it sees inactivity in a switch, it will generate a tech alert. So let's go down to diagnostics, down to technician alerts, hit enter, and let me know what you see here. Send me a picture of it. Let's start by focusing on the up and down test. He did send me a video, but I want to send a very specific, clear video on what ours does and the sequence of button presses, so maybe we can glean a little bit more about why it's having the error. So open the coin door, pull the interlock switch. The menu buttons we're going to be using are black for enter. In this case, I'm going to call these buttons plus and minus because that's what it calls them in the test, and then the green button is back. So go ahead and enter the menu, hit enter again, use the right button to go, the plus button in this case, to go to device tests, hit enter, then the plus button to go specifically to Dragon motors. I know there's a lot of Dragon tests, but Dragon motors, hit enter. You'll see by default it highlights the up-down motor, which is what we want to test here, and it says select to home Dragon, minus to change motor, and plus to move motor. So I'm gonna start with select or enter and watch what mine does. So he's up off the playfield and he's to the left. Let me know if yours does that or show me another video. All right, now it says plus button to move motor. So watch what he does on the first time I hit the plus button. Here I go, pressing. Now he's centered and up. Now I'm gonna hit the plus button again. He goes down. And from here, he will go up, down, up, down. So that's specifically what I'm looking for, and that's the specific button presses. So let me know kind of at what point in that sequence he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. And show me a video if you can. Okay, let's also do the left and right because I want to see if he has the range of motion that he should have. And this can give us some more clues with our troubleshooting. Okay, now we're gonna do a similar test, but with the left and right motor. This is important to see what kind of range of motion he has and to get any clues about if there's anything wrong here. So go ahead and hit the minus button to switch motors, and you'll see now left, right is highlighted. Now we're gonna do select to home him. So select, so up and to the left, and then plus to move him. So plus, 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 plus. I noticed that first one was a small move, and after that he does a full move left and right. So that way you can compare. You can see in the left position, that's where he's at. He's not running into anything. In the right position, he's over here. Do not change any of the calibration unless it's needed. I usually don't have to change it. So just leave it factory default until we get it working right. And then we'll see if we need to change the calibration. But at this point, we don't have a specific need to change it. Next, we're going to look underneath the playfield. It's very, very important to turn the game off. We do not want to be messing with any of the dragon wires with power to it because it's a lot more sensitive than other games. So let's turn the game off. Go ahead and remove the lockdown bar. Remove the glass. Put it in a safe place. I'm using protective corners because I have a concrete floor. Remove the balls from the main trough. Keep in mind this game has 8 balls. There may be 5 here and 3 in the dragon. If there's any in the dragon, you can leave them there. Here's how I remove the balls from the main trough. So that's 5, and I have 3 in the dragon. I'm gonna lift the playfield. I'm leaving the balls in the dragon there. Close the door. Lift here. We're gonna go all the way back. Here is what ours looks like underneath. Again, this is a later production premium, so the fix was already installed from the factory. Here is the most critical part right here, this wire. So this needs to be routed like this to where it is cable tied here, but loosely. And the cable tie should be between these 2 cable ties on this harness. They put these there as a reference point. They're about 1 inch apart. And then the cable tie you use when you put your fix on goes between those 2. And that way the wire kind of stays in this region. And then they have you put a Phillips screwdriver between your new cable tie that you put on and the wiring harness to kind of use as a measurement for how much space you should allow so that it's loose enough, but it still stays within this margin. So that is the absolutely critical part. Other than that, I think they did update these connectors a little bit. I don't remember the early ones looking quite like this. But yeah, when you put your fix kit in, make sure that is secured the way mine is. And then for this customer, okay, so if the up down is like not even working at all, first make sure the motors are plugged in correctly since you swapped your board out. So follow these wires, and they're labeled. and I'll show you mine as a reference. So looking at these two orange connectors here, this top one is labeled CN3, and the bottom one is labeled, I don't want to twist it around too much in here, but that is CN1. So double check that CN3 is plugged in here, CN1 is plugged in here. And since you've had this board out, just double check that your other connectors look like mine. So we've got a connector down here, plugged in as such. We have an empty space here. We have the power wire here, so black on the bottom, gray on top. And then we have two network cables here. And hopefully you took pictures and labeled those so you know which one goes where. I think if you have them wrong, it wouldn't work at all because these are the data bus cables, and I think it just wouldn't recognize the board correctly if these were reversed. But anyway, yeah, check to make sure the motors are plugged in correctly. And then we already talked about the dip switches, but let's just make sure those were interpreted correctly. So these are the 4 dip switches. So looking at it in this orientation here, the dip switches from top to bottom are right, right, left, right. So double check that those are correct. I think they are based on the way your game is behaving. Okay, now that you've checked to see if the wire's routed correctly, things are plugged in correctly, let's watch what happens when the dragon goes left and right. Just gently move them left and right with your hand. And you can kind of watch the wires and see if it looks like anything's getting hung up. I've had one other customer where going left and right, something was getting hung up and it was making a loud noise. So this is one of the things we did, is watch and feel as he goes left and right and see if the wires get caught on anything. Okay, up and down motion. It's a little harder to do by hand, and sometimes you have to be careful with moving motors by hand. But I think I could safely tell you to gently, so this is the up and down motor, obviously the game's turned off. I'm rotating this metal cylinder by hand, gently, don't force anything. Is yours able to move like mine? Or is it like completely stuck? So as I'm moving this gently, here's what he's doing. So let me know if it's like bound to where it won't move, but don't go too crazy with moving it by hand. Just do what I'm doing. All right, we're gonna put the playfield down now. Go ahead and start powering up your game. Go ahead and put the 5 balls back in. Make sure they rolled all the way down where they need to go. As my game is powering up, the dragon homed himself. He went up and to the left. You can retest the dragon motor test to see if anything has changed. I'll just show you that real quick. Home, up, down. Now I'll switch to left, right. I'm gonna home it and left, right. The next question is related to, after a multi-ball, it says please wait for an extended period of time. It could be losing track of where the balls are and maybe it didn't reload correctly. So let's simulate that situation. I currently have 5 balls down here, 3 in the dragon.
Tiamat is hatching a new plan to escape her banishment.
Run it through a multi-ball.
It's not over yet. What could go wrong? defeat me? Ah! Level.
Okay, multi-ball is ending. Wrath wins. Okay, so after the multi-ball, mine just auto-launched back into single ball play. Let's check the status. So you can do this too. So even if yours is saying please wait right now, while it's doing that, you can go ahead and go into the menu and troubleshoot on the fly and see why it's saying that. So go ahead and hit enter. So this kind of pauses the game in play, and now we're in the diagnostics menu. There's 3 things I would check if it's saying please wait after multi-ball. 1, is there a ball stuck anywhere on the playfield? You mentioned sometimes it gets hung up behind the dragon because he's in the down position. Check if there's any balls on the playfield. Next, and notice I do have one sitting on the shooter lane switch here. All right, next let's check how many balls are in the trough. So let's go ahead and pull the interlock switch. Go ahead and enter the menu. Go to device tests, ball trough test, and enter. Mine decided to auto launch a ball there. Nice. Okay, so this is kind of the standard outrust situation where there's 5 balls in the main trough. So do you see 5 in the main trough, or how many do you see? Keep in mind the game has 8 balls in it, and the main trough can only sense 6. So if there's 8 balls sitting down here, there's gonna be 2 like right over here that are not on any sort of switch, and that means the game doesn't know where they are and it thinks a ball is missing. So let me know if that's the case. But should have 5. It's possible for it to operate it with, 6 in here and 2 in the dragon. But anyway, that's the ball trough. Let's check the dragon trough. So I'm gonna use the green back button, then go down to dragon, and this shows the dragon trough. So those 3 yellow squares are the 3 balls sitting in the dragon trough. Does yours have that? It's possible that maybe the dragon trough sensor isn't working, and maybe you have the incorrect staging of balls. Maybe you don't have 5 and 3, or maybe there's balls in the dragon and it's not sensing them, and so the game is saying please wait because it doesn't know where the balls are and it hasn't reloaded. So those are some things you could check. All right, next, let's make sure your game is able to reload the dragon correctly. This is something I've seen once before with an LE customer, and it turned out to be a really easy fix. For them, the game was not very level, and it was affecting the ability to reload the balls into the dragon because the balls weren't making it far enough around. So let's watch the reload process. So I'm gonna fire the balls out of the dragon by hitting enter. Or sorry, is it enter? What is it? Minus to fire the ball. Notice when they roll down, 2 of these balls are not sitting on any sort of switch or sensor. So the game needs to reload them into the dragon. Let's see what happens when I back out of the menu. And keep in mind I have the interlock switch pulled. Okay, I'm gonna close the door. And the game's a little confused because I did those diagnostics and fired balls out of the dragon mid-game. So let's end the game in progress. Now it should try reloading the dragon. Maybe I have to encourage it. Let's hit start. Aha. So it says locating pinballs, please wait. Now it's reloading the dragon. Perfect. So this one reloaded correctly. The game has to see the correct amount of balls in the trough in order to start a game. So when I hit start, it prompted it to say, hey, let me make sure my balls are situated in the right place, and it decided to reload. So what happens when it reloads? It fires a ball from the trough into the shooter lane, then it auto launches around here. There is a diverter. Okay, there's a diverter back here. It's kind of hard to see, but when it's reloading the dragon, the diverter diverts the balls into that hole in the playfield, which feeds the dragon trough. I'm gonna show you the diverter just so you can see what I'm talking about. So if your game is not loading the balls into the dragon correctly, then it's gonna have that issue you saw where it says, please wait. So check that the ball is able to make it all the way around into the diverter and into the dragon. And there could be a simple reason preventing it from doing that. Like it's, just getting caught, or there's a piece of debris back here, or the game's not level or something like that. So it may be simpler than you think. Obviously the diverter needs to work. So I guess I'll just show you that real quick. So here's how you test the diverter. Enter diagnostics, coil test, single coil test, and use the red buttons to navigate to diverter, and then hit enter. And I do have the interlock switch pulled here. I think that about wraps it up for now. The only other thing I didn't talk about, and I don't know if this would apply to you or not, but in general, if you're having movement issues with the dragon, just visually look on the top side of the playfield and see if there's anything preventing him from being able to move. For example, maybe if the screw came loose and the cave was loose and he was rubbing on the edge of the cave, or, anything physical on the top side that looks like it could be interfering with the dragon's movement. And one more thing is, do not use chrome balls. People with fancy LE games sometimes are tempted to use chrome balls because they're a little bit shinier. They will magnetize, especially on a game like this that has the cube with a giant magnet in it. When the balls magnetize, they stick together, and it creates issues with handling the balls correctly in the trough. And I could definitely see how that would cause major issues with this game, keeping track of balls in the main trough and the dragon trough. So use carbon balls. I just get balls from Pinball Life. They're regular ones, and they're pretty shiny too. They're nice. So just do a sanity check, make sure you don't have chrome balls in the game. All right, let me know if these tests and videos yield some more information, and if there's something I can help you further troubleshoot based on what we learned, or if you found a fix. We'll be in contact, and we'll talk to you later.